Hi everyone, this is Ari and welcome to my podcast. I'm Ari, I'm a 24 years old Thai French girl and I'm just starting my podcast today with this first episode about the bipolar disorder. So just to let you know guys, as I said, I am French and Thai, so English is not my first language and you probably wonder why is she doing a podcast in English? Just because I want to. Duh. No, also because I feel more comfortable in English. I don't know why. And also I need to practice it because I study English in university and I think it helps me a lot to speak in English all by myself in front of my computer. So, yeah. Anyway, so why am I doing a podcast about the bipolar disorder? Because I am bipolar and I need to share with you guys some informations and my experience with this disorder. Okay? So what is a bipolar disorder? So I'm gonna give you a quick definition about it. It's gonna be with my words, so it may not be exact with the right words, but it's with my words. Okay, and how I experience it. Okay? So a bipolar disorder is a disorder about mood swings, which is characterized, I don't know, with a high level of happiness and a very low level of happiness, which is called the depression that lasts more than 2 weeks. Okay, this is a very important factor. I don't know if you say that in English, actually. A very important thing about it. Alright? So yeah. How was I diagnosed? So you have to know that I struggled with depression since an early age. I would say around 12 and 13. Maybe it's not that early, but I consider it quite early as I was a young teenager. How did I know? I didn't know. My parents didn't know. My sister was suspecting that something was going on, but I didn't know what depression was like because my parents were not aware of what depression is and looks like. My dad was in the army and grew up with an army father and a teacher mother during the 70s and during the 60s and the 70s in France. So psychology, mental health issues were not as developed as today, and my mother grew up in the Thai countryside. Do I need to tell you more about it? You can guess that it was not her priority to talk about mental health. Her priority was to survive. So my parents were not quite aware about mental health. So when I was a teenager and that I was struggling with, I don't know, just my sleep schedule, they didn't understand that. When I was coming back home from school and locking myself in my bedroom and crying and sleeping, they were quite confused because I had everything right. I had a house, I had my both parents with me, I had my big sister, but I was just depressed and turns out I just had a mental health issue. I think it got worse when I was 14 or 15 because at 15 I did something that got me into a hospital for young people. Anyway, so I stayed there for 2 months and then the psychiatrist told them that I needed to see a psychologist, so I saw a psychologist. 3 sessions. I did 3 sessions because actually I think I was too young and I was not quite comfortable sharing my traumas with a woman that I didn't know. You know? I had like some trust issues, I think. I think at the time I was scared that she was going to tell my parents everything. And I didn't want that because I didn't want to get into any troubles. But actually I wouldn't get in any troubles because I didn't do anything. I don't don't know what was going on inside my head, but anyway, I saw a psychologist for just 3 times. Then when I was 18, the transition, the summer between high school and university, I was working in an organic food shop. Alright, but every single day when I was coming back home, I just wanted to sleep. I slept so much that what I remember about this period of time, is work and sleep. I don't even remember what I did during this summer, actually. I don't. So I went to see my doctor, and I thought it was like iron efficiency, low iron. I thought it was an issue with iron, and she told me, hey bro, I think it's not that, because you have a lack of motivation, a lack of happiness, a lack of hobbies, a lack of joy, a lack of everyone. And yes, I have a lack of everything. Sorry, I said everyone, but a lack of everything. I was feeling nothing. Everything for me was great at the time, which is quite depressed. Yeah, because it was depressive episode, but everything was great. Like the song, everything's great. His hair, his smoke, his dreams. It was exactly me. I was being emo. Not even emo. I don't know. I was just a shadow. I was even my parents, they didn't know what to do with me. So then I moved to bigger city for my studies, but it was during COVID, so we were doing virtual classes. And as I have a very, very, very small attention, it was very hard for me to follow the classes, so I just dropped out and I started to work full-time in an organic food shop. And I thought, hey, I'm a big girl now, I'm gonna get my life all back together. So I'm gonna see a psychologist. I went to the psychologist and she told me, hey girl, do you know this bipolar disorder? And I told her, yeah, hell yeah, I do know that. I saw that on TikTok, but I don't think that I'm bipolar. And she told me, oh yeah, why? And I told her, I don't have the high manic episode and the low episode. I have like the stable one, a little bit of happiness, which is quite short, stable, depression, and back to normal. Okay, and she told me, hell yeah, girl, this is the type 2 of bipolar disorder. And I was like, what? Then I saw a psychiatrist, an old man, and he told me the first appointment, hell yeah, you are bipolar type 2. And I was like, what the fuck? And as it was very sudden for me, and I didn't believe that you could diagnose someone just by seeing them one time, I was in denial. Denial is a river in Egypt. Alright, I was in denial. I didn't believe him, and I went to the pharmacy here just to get the medication, but I actually didn't take that. Then at 19, I had the worst breakup in my life. So I got another depressive episode. So I moved back to my parents' house for 6 months. And then I moved here. And here, I decided again that I'm getting my life together. So I went to another psychologist. And she gave me these little comics about the bipolar disorder with a little fox that represents the disorder, following a young woman, and it shows all the different type of bipolar. So you have the type 1, which is like the roller coaster mood swings, and then you have the type 2, which is less less spectacular, I would say. Like, when you see us in our hypomaniac episode, you're like, oh my gosh, you're very, very feeling it. No, bro. No, because we know that we are going to be depressed after that. So I went to the psychologist who helped me a lot. Then I went to psychiatrist. And she told me, yeah, you may be bipolar, but if you want to be sure and reassure, you can go to the Experts Center of Bipolar and Schizophrenia in Bordeaux. So I went there. Few appointments, I would say 3 or 4. We did a lot of interviews. They were asking me about my family background, if anyone is diagnosed depressed, bipolar, stuff like that. So we talked about that, and then I was diagnosed bipolar type 2, right? But with a little bit of spiciness, depression tendencies. Alright, so I was quite relieved that I had a full diagnosis. I was relieved that I had something at some point, that I was not crazy, that I was not acting, because fortunately, no one told me that I was acting. But I do know that some people, when they are talking about their mental issues, some people has the audacity to tell them that they are acting up. Is that a word to say? Acting up? Like they are pretending, they are trying to get attention. I mean, some people might, but some people don't, So I was quite relieved, and I do remember that, my parents were not aware about mental health. So my dad was just being curious about what was going on. So he was always calling me. My father is my best friend, so every day I am calling him. And at the time he was very curious. He was asking me, hey, what is like, what's going on? Do you have medication? Do you have another appointment? And he still asked me this question. My mother, it was a bit more complicated, because for her, psychiatrist, hospital, it was for the crazy people or the weak one. Yeah, a bit radical, but she grew up in the countryside of Thailand, and I don't know, culturally speaking, I think it's not that it's more like a taboo, I would say. I don't know, I didn't grow up in Thailand. I'm not very close to the Thai culture, so I don't want to say wrong things, but I just know that where she grew up and how she described it, she saw that as a fail for her, that one of her daughter had a mental issue. I think she didn't even tell her family that I was bipolar. So, sorry, it was funny. So, yeah. Right now, how do I live with my disorder? I live quite well because I have my medication. I have lithium. So, when you have lithium, you have to, in France, you have to take the lithium, and then you get a blood test to see if you have the right dose of lithium, if you're overdosed or underdosed. You know what I mean? And you have to be careful that your blood is taken after 12 hours after you took the lithium, So when you take the lithium, you have to take out your blood 12 hours after. All right, and it's quite annoying because every time you have to adjust the dose of the medication. But right now I do live quite well with it. The depression episodes are less hard thanks to the lithium. It helps me a lot to stabilize my mood swings, but I do sometimes have depressive episodes. And also I think that the whole work I did with my psychologist helped me a lot to change my vision of the world and to change the my perspective. She likes to say that everyone has different pair of glasses, and some have a certain pair of glasses that make them see the world in gray, which the one that I had. And right now my glasses help me to see the world in color, which is pretty cool. But what is important when you have a bipolar disorder or another mental disorder, I think, in my opinion, I may be wrong, is to work also on your emotional issues, to work on your traumas, and to work on your disorder as well, to accept it. Because I had a hard time accepting my disorder. I had a very hard time accepting that I have to take medicine. I didn't want to be dependent on a medication. I didn't want to be, this annoying person like, oh, I'm sorry, I cannot drink, I have medication. But right now I'm like, who cares? Who cares if you don't drink? If you don't drink, sorry. Who cares? Who cares if you feel depressed and you want to stay alone? Maybe your friends, if they know what's going on, but you know what I mean? I know that it was very hard for me because I used to drink a lot when I was depressed, to smoke a lot also. So since I have lithium, I don't drink that much, and it helped me to cut the alcohol. I do drink alcohol sometimes, but not as much as I used to do. I try to quit cigarettes right now. So because people with mental health are more likely to have addictions, I think, because we are more vulnerable, I would say. I don't know if it's something true. I may be wrong again, but it's something that I noticed. And also, when I was younger, when I was 14 or 15, like 10 years ago, I was on Tumblr. And it was a time when depression or even mental health was romanticized. For example, right now I just have the example of American Horror Story with Tate, played by Evan Peters, Tate and Violet. It was very glamorized, and I remember I had this unhealthy and fucked up mind of being like them. Like, oh my gosh, it's so cool. It's not cool. It is not cool. Being mental ill is not cool. You are fighting with your brain. You are fighting with your thoughts. Because I talk about that in such a light tone. But let's be honest, being in depression is not light. You weight a ton, I don't know how to say that, but it's like you have the weight of the world on your back. You cannot go out of the bed to pee. You feel so bad that you wanna, So I'm quite angry toward these people that are glamorizing mental health. It became like an aesthetic. It was the same with anorexia, like eating disorders. How can you glamorize someone's suffering? You know what I mean? So it's back then I thought it was cool, but right now I just feel like it's it sucks. It does sucks. So yeah, I think it's everything for today, guys. It's already been 20 minutes. I hope you liked this first episode. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment down below. Don't forget to share this video to someone who may have been diagnosed bipolar. I don't know if it was complete. I don't know if it was well organized. Also, can you give me some advice so I can improve my podcast? I see you on the other episode. I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but I think it's going to be quite spontaneous. So, yeah, have a great day, everyone. Take care of yourself and see you. Bye-bye. Love you.